Hey everybody, welcome to a different video. Now, I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit of something different than the usual art content. I wanted to discuss one of my favorite games, partially inspired by Degenerate J. He's someone I've been watching for a long time. I kind of wanted to talk about the ending of Darksiders 2, and why I feel that something's off about it, and I feel that it should have been a choice ending. Now, don't get me wrong, I love games that, with their endings and, multiple endings, but I also like games that are just one little, thing. But I feel with Darksiders 2, knowing full wholeheartedly after playing it, it feels like there should have been two endings. I think there should have been two choices that really impacted your ending, when you beat the game. And it shows. Yes, I know that the company that was developing Darksiders was going bankrupt, and I know all the stuff, but I kind of want to discuss a little bit of my opinions and also talk about why I think that it would have been perfect. Now, after playing through Darksiders 1 and also going through Darksiders 3, Darksiders 3 had a little bit of a change up with its ending. And if you did a certain thing in the story with the Hollows, the Lord of the Hollows, and he gives you this type of amulet thing, the ending doesn't completely change much, but some elements change depending on if you make this specific choice. And when Darksiders 2 first came out, it was the one that introduced the choice and dialogue system. It's pretty weird that near the end of the game, that really doesn't play a role. It mainly plays a role in just some stuff. Kind of like the filler stuff, like side content or stuff like that. Which is odd because, I don't know, it feels weird to me. And it's not even a role in Darksiders 1. It's not even there, obviously. But for 2, it was literally, pretty much revolutionized things. It just showed, say, hey, we're gonna put this in the... And, it's a big part of the story, or a big part of things. I guess it kind of plays a part in it. Which, okay... But it doesn't really play much of a role in the main story, which I kind of found a bit odd. And I kind of feel it's the biggest victim of that is the ending. Now, to say the ending is bad is not at all true. I'm not saying the ending is bad. Darksiders 2's ending was pretty bittersweet, and it left more to be desired, obviously, but it also really changed the bar. Now, I will say that Death is a little bit more of a complex character than War, obviously. But I also feel that Death as a character, his ending leaves more to be desired. When you replay the game, you can tell that there was probably something cut from that ending. Because it shows with how it is presented. And after replaying it and, looking at footage, I think that the ending should have been a choice ending. There should have been two choices, and I think it would have made more sense after replaying the game. So, to cut to the chase. When replaying the game, the main villain of the game is partially Absalom. One of the Nephilim is, spoilers, obviously, and all that. And the whole thing with Death's character in the game is he wants to redeem War, he wants to bring back humanity, but also he's conflicted because he's still, conflicted with his role in the slaughter of his own brethren, the Nephilim. And his exact words were to, I believe it was the Crowfather, but basically, he would have, seen Absalom spared if, he could go back and change things and blah blah blah, right? I find it pretty odd that he doesn't do that when it comes to the actual game. It was something that really bothered me going, I can understand with Darksiders 1, there was not many choices when it came to that game, there's nothing at all, but the story was complex characters, and you had, both sides were corrupt, there was this big conspiracy, and all that. It was pretty much your standard fare, the whole thing with the game, not really much changes when it comes to the story. You're technically getting tricked into, literally empowering a demon, for Christ's sake. And that's really about the whole crux of half the story, but you still have these bits and pieces of lore building and stuff like that. Compared to Darksiders 2, where it's a lot more emotional and a lot more complex. Of course, there's hints of, this, that type of, big conspiracy, but it's not as prevalent in, this game as it was in 1. Now, it does make more of a headline a little bit with 3, it returns back to form, but with Darksiders 2, it more focuses on the interpersonal journey of Death and, what his role was. And him being, very emotionally complex was kind of something I found very alluring about his character and the story that Darksiders 2 tries to tell.
Such is the decree.
Now, I believe that if the game, the company that was, doing Darksiders 2 wasn't going to go bankrupt and they had a full totality to realize their vision, I think that there would have been more to Darksiders 2. I think there would have been 2 different endings. Now, to cut to the chase of why I think that way, is how 2 particular moments in the game. The whole thing with, Death wishing Absalom would have been spared, and the other thing is his role with him destroying his own race. The game purposely tells you, near the end, and you really don't get a choice, he just jumps in and saves humanity. But I think there would have been more. After going back and replaying the game, and after, literally hours worth of content and, fitting through the story, trying to figure out stuff, I personally believe that, honestly, Darksiders 2 would have had 2 different endings. One where not only Death spares Absalom, or you have the choice to kill him, but I also think he would have given the choice to resurrect humanity or resurrect the Nephilim, which, either way, makes sense with Death's character, and yes, he probably, one ending would not be canon and the other would, but I think it would have been interesting because it also plays a part in Darksiders 3, or, the ending of Darksiders 2, where Lucifer says, hey, Lilith, you said that Death would have brought back the Nephilim. Yet he didn't bring back the Nephilim. He brought back humanity. And that was, it felt odd that scene was placed there, because I get that Lucifer was planning ahead. He's a schemer. He always is, and he's a freaking lying snake. But I always found it odd and a little bit weird that, basically, the scene was there, and basically, Lilith only, it comes near the tail end of the story just to say, oh, hey, just bring back the Nephilim. She probably, there's no hints of doing more of that, basically pushing Death to do that. And I think there was a little bit of that throughout the story on the interpersonal side, but nothing from Lilith. She, shows up, maybe twice. I think maybe once, I can't remember at the top of my head. And I feel it just made weird. It was very weird how it was presented. she just shows up and says, hey, if you get to the Well of Souls, resurrect the Nephilim, resurrect your brothers and sisters, and that's it. She literally offers up nothing else. It would have made more sense. I think Lilith probably was another victim of cutting. I think she would have played a little bit more of a role in the story. Because sometimes it feels like there's just a lot of filler in the game. There's a lot of just pointless assets that just don't really add anything to the story. I can understand, I love Death. I've done fan art of him. I love him as a character. He's a badass character. And I love Darksiders too. Now, this is just me because I believe that Lilith probably should have had more of a role in the story, and there should have been that added to the choice ending. Because at times, the game does show its fillerness compared to the first game, where I understand the whole point of the game is kind of you kind of get screwed over a little bit and tricked by, I can't remember the demon's name, but basically to, get the Chosen's hearts and all that. But with Absalom's death, that should have been the very first choice, to spare him or kill him. Because I think it would have added to the ending, to show a bit of mercy. Now, I understand he is the source of the corruption, so, having basically the choice to spare him or kill him would have added to this. But it also would have added more to the final choice, to sacrifice humanity and basically, choose the Nephilim and resurrect them. Or to do the opposite, to choose humanity over your own brethren. This would have added more to the conflict, the choice that you make at the end of the game. And the already journey Death is on. And it makes the most sense. Even he questions, he doesn't know what to do next. What to do. He literally, that's the whole point. He laughs to himself and he's kind of hysteric. And it kind of adds to the conflict of the interpersonal side if the game would have offered you the choice to do one or the other. Similar to Infamous, which is one of my favorite games. Actually, the very first time I interacted with Jay on his channel was asking him in Infamous if he would cover it. But Absalom. With the whole thing of the ending, I think that these two choices would have changed the game. And the ending would have been a lot more better at that moment. But that's just my opinion. I love Death as a character. I love Darksiders 2. I just think it would have been pretty cool if there would have been two endings. It would have probably made the ending of the game more satisfying if you really think about it. But hey, that's just me. Let me know what you guys think in the video in the comments down below, and make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, bye!